Hi, everybody. Can y'all hear me okay? I'm new to microphones, but my name, like she said, is Carrie Reinhardt. I'm one of the nurses at NC Health Smart. I've been with NC Health Smart since 2010, but I've been a nurse for almost 13 years. So once again, heart health is exactly what she said. It's a global epidemic. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And that's actually the first slide that I had as well, was that it is a global epidemic. According to the World Health Organization, cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death globally, like she said. An estimated 17.3 million people died of cardiovascular disease in 2008, which is about 30% of deaths globally. And that number is projected to rise. It is still projected to be the leading cause of death in the future. By 2030, they're estimating, let me get my numbers right, 23.6 million people will die from cardiovascular disease. So that's why it's so important to start now and helping to educate people so maybe we can stop this epidemic. And cardiovascular disease includes more than one condition. It includes coronary artery disease, which is what we're going to be focusing on today. It also includes cerebrovascular disease, which would be like stroke, peripheral artery disease, which affects your extremities like your hands, your legs, feet. And it also includes congenital heart disease. But once again, we're going to be focusing on coronary heart disease for today. But the good news is that everything that we talk about today, all of the healthy lifestyle changes and things that you can do, will help with any of the cardiovascular diseases, not just coronary heart disease or artery disease. So the heart, as you can see, it's a muscle. It's about the size of your fist, so it's not very big. It only weighs about 1 pound, but it is actually the strongest muscle in your body. It has to be. Look, if you look here at the number of beats, 100,000 times daily, or over about a 70-year lifespan, 2.5 billion beats. So the heart is an important muscle, and it does beat a lot. And it's just like any other muscle, it does contract and relax. The difference about the heart muscle is that it does it involuntarily. You don't have to, tell your heart to pump, it just does that. So how do you keep your heart strong, which is important? And the ways to do that we're going to talk about today, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, exercise, healthy eating, those are all the things that you can do to keep your heart healthy. So where does heart disease fall in the United States? This chart here shows the top leading causes of death in the United States in 2013. And as you can see, heart disease takes up almost half the chart, so that's pretty significant. Following that is cancer and chronic respiratory disease. And like she mentioned earlier, it is the #1 killer of women in the United States. So that is why it is so important. And we have a lot of women in the audience, so that's great. All right, and these are arteries. This is one of the things that causes heart disease. The one on the left is a normal artery. That's the way your arteries are supposed to look, clean, with plenty of room for the blood to flow through. Because arteries are the blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart. And we'll be talking about ways that you can keep your arteries nice and clean later on in the presentation. The second picture is a picture of an artery with a tear in the wall, and you can see that right there. What happens is things that can cause tears in your artery wall are things like certain health conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, certain irritants like tobacco use can cause tears in the wall of the artery. And what happens there is just like with any cut. Anytime a part of your body is hurt, platelets, blood cells rush to that area to help with healing. And but healing, things get inflamed when things start healing. And with that inflammation, cholesterol, plaques, things like that will accumulate in that area and cause blockages in the artery. And over time, they build up, like you can, sorry y'all. This is new to me too, this little handheld thing. But over here, this is where all of those things have kind of built up. And that causes something called atherosclerosis, which, I've been a nurse for almost 13 years now, and I still have trouble pronouncing that word. So basically, that's what it is. There is a blockage in your artery. And what that can do, when your blood flow is like that, you see how narrow it is, it limits and blocks blood flow to certain areas of your body, not necessarily the heart, Because what can happen is these deposits can break off and travel throughout your body and can cause damage to other organs as well. So let's see, and that last picture there with it obstructed, that is called coronary artery disease. So the signs and symptoms, it is important to know the symptoms, and sometimes the symptoms of a heart attack are not always real obvious because your heart doesn't have any nerves in it that can send signals of pain. So what the heart does is send those signals of pain to other areas in your upper body that can let you know that the heart's in distress. So it is good to know what these symptoms are. Upper body discomfort is probably the most common typical symptom that you'll hear about. And that can include, pain in your arms, your neck, your jaw, or your stomach. Chest pain is, once again, the most common one to look for, and that can include discomfort in your chest. A lot of people will say it feels like a squeezing, a pressure. Some people will say it feels like, sorry about that, but it feels like an elephant sitting on your chest, so it's a lot of pressure in that area. And this is how most heart attacks are identified. Shortness of breath is another symptom, and that can be accompanied with chest discomfort, or it just may be on its own. Feeling very sweaty, that would be not sweating like you're exercising sweaty. This would be sweatiness like you all of a sudden are breaking out in a cold sweat. It can include nauseousness, vomiting, lightheadedness, feeling very, very tired, fatigued, just feeling very weak. So those are some of the other symptoms. And while we're talking about men and women, women may experience very different symptoms than men. Women are less likely to experience the typical chest discomfort. A lot of women will experience some other less obvious symptoms. And as women, we're also more likely to kind of care and take care of everybody around us as opposed to ourselves. So it is important for us to pay attention to those symptoms too, because they might not always be as obvious. So some other symptoms to look out for would be feeling like you just have a lot of heartburn. And this would be like if you don't normally have heartburn, or if you haven't eaten anything that would normally cause heartburn, like acidic foods, spicy foods, or if you've already taken an antacid and it's not getting better. So that's where you would want to be concerned and start thinking about calling your doctor or 911. Jaw pain is another symptom. It's more likely to happen in the left side of your jaw, but it can be either side. In fact, it's funny, a lot of dentists will have to call 911 on their patients because their patients have come in with a toothache and it ends up being a heart attack. So that's another interesting one that's atypical. Heart rate irregularities, feeling like your heart is beating really rapidly. That can kind of feel like you've got butterflies, like butterfly wings fluttering in your chest, especially if that one is accompanied with feeling dizzy, feeling lightheaded, then that's definitely something that you would need to call 911 over. That could mean that your heart's in an irregular rhythm, which will increase your chance of having a heart attack. And the nose symptoms one, that one's very dangerous, very scary, not having any symptoms at all. It can happen to anybody, but it especially happens to people that have diabetes. And that's because diabetics can experience something called neuropathy, which means that you have like deadened nerve endings, like in your feet, sometimes in your hands. And if there are deadened nerve endings present, then that can sometimes mute whatever symptoms that you might have. And to speak on that, I think a lot of times that's why it's so important to see your doctor regularly so that they can make sure that everything's going on with your health, even if you don't have any symptoms. So don't wait, if you think you're having a heart attack, don't wait any more than 5 minutes to call 911. Even if you're feeling okay, you don't want to drive yourself to the hospital. You will get faster treatment, if you go by ambulance. And speaking about men and women, just very briefly again, even though women are more likely to have the less obvious symptoms, that doesn't mean that men won't experience those symptoms too. So it is important just to be mindful of those. All right, and this next slide is talking about what increases your risk. On the left-hand side, it shows things that there's nothing that you can do about, like your age, your gender, your previous history. But if you look on the right-hand side, there are things that you can do that can help lower your risk. And the good news is that the things that you can do is much longer than the things that you can't do. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And once again, you know, a lot of times with our family history, you know, a lot of people will say to me, well, Carrie, you know, everybody in my family has high blood pressure, so I'm probably going to have high blood pressure too. But that's not necessarily true. You know, having a healthy life, you know, even making small changes, you know, one step at a time, you know, that's how you get to where you want to be. And but that can really help with lowering your risk of heart disease. So what can you do? You know, a lot of times the first step is to see your doctor, you know, get a checkup. Get them to check your blood work so that they can get to know what your numbers are. And these are some of the things that they look for at your routine checkups. They look at your total cholesterol, which then breaks down into several different numbers like triglycerides, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. They'll also check your blood pressure and your fasting blood sugar to check for diabetes. On the right-hand side are the American Heart Association guidelines for what those numbers should be. And your doctor may have more specific numbers, like if you do have a higher risk, they may, you know, want to tweak those numbers. So once again, that's why it's so important to see your doctor. And of course, talk to your doctor if you have any questions. Being tobacco-free. Smoking is an important part of a heart-healthy lifestyle. Smoking is actually the leading cause of preventable death and disease in the United States. Quitting smoking will reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease, and it will also decrease your risk for having blocked blood vessels, the atherosclerosis that we talked about, as well as blood clots. And secondhand smoke is also really important too. Let me get my numbers right, but 22,000 to 69,000 premature deaths from heart and blood vessel diseases are actually caused by secondhand smoke. So just being mindful of that, you know, even if you don't smoke, you know, you still want to stay away from the secondhand smoke as well. And some of the things that we offer here with NC Health Smart is called the NC Quit Line. And the number's really easy to remember, 1-800-QUIT-NOW. But they offer support in helping people with quitting tobacco. And if you are eligible for it, you may also qualify for nicotine replacement therapy. So that's a great resource. And they have really good hours too. They're almost 24 hours a day. So the other thing you can do is keep it heart healthy, you know, work on your diet. If you look at this plate right here, this is what your plate should look like. So it's separated into 5 categories. You've got fruits and vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy. And so to keep it simple, you know, fruits and vegetables should take up about half of your plate. And for more information, choosemyplate.gov is a great website to look for as well. So we'll break it down with each category. With the grains, what we recommend is whole grains. And that's going to be like your fruits, vegetables, let's see, whole grains like I mentioned, legumes, that's like beans, those types of things. Things that are high in fiber. Fiber takes a little bit longer to break down in your body, so that can actually help you feel fuller longer, which will help with weight loss. But fiber also helps to lower your bad cholesterol. So that's a good component of fiber as well. Fruits and vegetables, of course, are included in the grains, and they have an added bonus of having nutrients like calcium, magnesium, and potassium. These are nutrients that help with muscle function and can help with lowering your blood pressure, so those are important as well. With protein, of course, we recommend getting lean proteins. That's going to be like your fish, your chicken, your eggs, legumes once again, tofu, that type of thing. And that's just because those sources of protein are lower in saturated fat. Vegetarian sources of protein include things like, once again, your nuts, legumes, soy-based products, that type of thing. Let's see. And I know it's not added in there, but we all do need a little bit of fat in our diet. And generally what we recommend with that is more heart-healthy fats like canola oil, olive oil, your heart-healthy nuts like walnuts, almonds, pistachios, seeds, that type of thing. And fish also contains omega-3s, avocados, those things contain omega-3s, which is an anti-inflammatory. That actually helps to open up your blood vessels. And, but of course it does act as somewhat of a blood thinner, so we of course don't recommend that you take any supplements without running that by your doctor. But getting it from those foods is fine. Things that you want to limit would be like your saturated fats And that's going to be like your full fat dairy, you know, fatty cuts of meat, that type of thing. Trans fat is things that's like man-made fats. That would be like your partially hydrogenated oil, so look for that on an ingredient list. Also anything that is something that you can sit on a shelf, a box that can sit on a shelf for several months and still be okay to eat several months later, those are typically not real good for you. Not only do they typically have those trans fats, but they also have a lot of sodium in it, because sodium is of course a preservative, and that can increase your blood pressure, as well as the trans fats also will increase your bad cholesterol and lower your good cholesterol at the same time. So it's kind of like a double whammy of bad with the trans fats. We talked about grains a little bit with what we should be eating and with the whole grains. The opposite side of that is going to be like your simple refined carbs, and that's going to be like your white stuff, like white bread, white rice, white pasta, sugary foods, as well as like beverages that have a lot of sugar in it as well. These raise your triglycerides, which is another component of your cholesterol, and it also affects your appetite regulation as well as blood sugar control too, and that's because it breaks down so quickly. So a lot of times if you eat things that have a lot of sugar, your blood sugar tends to plummet after that. And once again, sodium, you know, it's found in a lot of processed foods, packaged meats like bacon, sausage, hot dogs, even, you know, condiments like ketchup, mustard, those types of things have sodium in it too. So it is good to look at all the labels and the foods that you eat. Once again, sodium, too much sodium in your diet can increase your blood pressure. All right, so what can you do other than eat healthy is, of course, to get fit and to exercise more. The American Heart Association recommends that you get in 150 minutes a week of exercise, which is equal to about 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. And that's moderate exercise, like taking a walk, bicycling, that type of thing. If you're exercising intensely, like running, jogging, that type of thing, they recommend about 75 minutes of intense exercise. Warming up and cooling down is important for your heart, just to kind of get your heart used to that exertion, as well as at the end of your exercise to kind of work on letting your heart get back down to its normal rhythm. So about 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning and the end of your workout is what they recommend for warming up and cooling down. Strength training is recommended, like full body strength training, they recommend that 2 days a week. And you don't want to do it on consecutive days to kind of give your muscles time to heal. So about 2 days a week is what they recommend with that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be weightlifting. You know, if you don't have a set of weights at home, that's fine. They make exercise like resistance bands that you can use now, but also just using your own body can be really good with strength training. You know, doing things like push-ups, sit-ups, plank, you know, doing those plank things, and lunges are another good one that you can do. So you don't have to go to a gym to incorporate strength training in your exercise routine. And stretching is also good, particularly after you've exercised. It's better to stretch when your muscles are warm. A lot of times when you'll see people stretching before they go for a jog, but really, especially if it's cold outside, that's not a good idea because you're more likely to get injured when you stretch cold muscles. So after the end of the workout is when they recommend that, and of course to start, so you don't miss any parts of your body, to start from one end and go to the other. So ways, ideas on how to get fit. You know, once again, I mentioned that you don't have to have a gym, and that's true. You can walk anywhere as long as you have a safe place to walk and a pair of shoes. If it's nasty outside, you can walk in like one of those big box stores, you know, Walmart, Costco, that type of thing, or even malls. Shopping malls are a great place to walk as well. Exercise DVDs are another good option if it's gross outside, or if you're just kind of tired of what you've been doing. Exercise DVDs are great for that. And now, there's a lot of different websites out there where you can get free exercises. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy an exercise DVD if you're just trying different things out. And experimentation being the last one, you know, a lot of gyms will offer like free passes for a certain number of days, or free passes to certain classes. So if you ever wanted to try something new, you know, a lot of times that's a good option that you can do without having to spend a lot of money, is take advantage of those free classes. And having a workout buddy is fantastic because that person kind of helps keep you a little bit accountable. If you know somebody's going to be waiting for you at the gym, you're more likely to go and be there on time. And it can also make it more fun, you know, just having somebody that you can chat with and somebody that can even push you a little bit harder than maybe what you would normally go. So workout buddies are great. In addition to the exercise that they recommend, just leading a healthy lifestyle can help, an active lifestyle can help lower your risk for heart disease as well. And that can be yard work, housework, if you can, commuting, whether by bicycle or walking, and just making healthy lifestyle habits. Like, for instance, with yard work, weeding the garden can be a tough workout sometimes. Push mowing your lawn instead of a riding lawnmower, raking leaves instead of using a rake or a leaf blower. Those are all good options. In your house, cleaning windows, dusting, vacuuming, mopping, that gets your heart rate up too. And lifestyle habits, these are very important too. Some suggestions I can make would be like, when you get to work, parking as far away as you can, as opposed to getting the spot that's right next to the door. That can add steps to your day. That's a good walk at the beginning of your work day as well as at the end. Let's see what else. Keeping shoes at work. That's something that I do, is I keep a pair of sneakers under my desk at work. So if I'm ever feeling stressed, or if I have a break, and even on my lunch breaks, I'll take a walk, around the parking lot. We have some walking trails near where our office is, so it's really nice to get out and be able to walk. And that way, you have the stuff already there. You don't have to say, well, gosh, I don't have the shoes to wear today, because you've already got a pair under your desk. And another thing too is keeping your gym clothes with you. In the trunk of your car, stashed under your desk as well. I found personally, if I go home at the end of the day with plans to work out afterwards, I walk in my house and I get distracted by my kids, by the way my kitchen looks, by plans for dinner. It can be very distracting. So keeping those clothes with you, and just going straight home from work. Even I used to actually change clothes at work before I even left. So I was already in my gym clothes, and I didn't really have an excuse at that point. So that's another good thing to think about. Stress is another component of all of our lives. It's unavoidable sometimes, and it is a normal part of life, but stress can cause a lot of negative things in our life too. It can increase your risk for heart disease, increase your high blood pressure, and it can even cause I keep touching my chest and I forget the microphone's there, but it can cause irregular heart rate as well, heartbeats as well. It's amazing what mentally, your body can do to it physically. And listed here are some things that some people do when dealing with stress. Some people deal with stress really well, some people don't. Eating too much, drinking too much, smoking, or ways some people manage stress. Some people procrastinate when they're stressed out. And so those are some of the things that are bad behaviors. So talking about ways that you can manage your stress level and ways to decrease your stress. Some things that you can do, working out's really good for stress. It does release endorphins, which can help lower your stress level and just kind of help you feel better in general. Some people like to listen to music for a few minutes to de-stress. Some people like to just be by themselves for a few minutes to de-stress, which can be hard sometimes to find time to do that. But 15 minutes a day just to kind of collect your thoughts can really help to de-stress your life. Reading a book. Some people really like to get organized. So, cleaning out your car, organizing your kitchen cabinets, your desk drawers. Some people will find that that's a nice de-stressor as well. Or if you have any hobbies, like drawing, painting, scrapbooking for some people. There's a lot of ways that people can de-stress. It's just finding what's going to be best for you. So how do you begin? It can be overwhelming sometimes when thinking about changes that we may want or need to make in our life. And sometimes, taking that first step is the hardest step to take. So here at NC Health Smart, what we do, we recommend that you make smaller changes. And once again, not anything big, but when you cook, try using different spices. Look in your local newspaper, find fun walks, marathons, runs, whatever you want to do. You can get out, socialize, be active, and support a good cause at the same time. Attend a comedy show. Laughter is great for stress management too. Even if you don't go, watch something funny on TV for a few minutes. That may help to distress you after a long day as well. So what are some sources that we have that can help you? Here at NC Health Smart, we do have health coaching, and it is personalized, it is confidential, it's free, and let's see, what's the other one? And we're very supportive. We have many different categories. We have disease management nurses, and they are registered nurses that help deal with medical conditions, things like diabetes, asthma, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, coronary vascular disease. There are a lot of different options if you have any of those conditions. And they also help discussing with medications too, because for some people that can be very confusing when they're on several different medications to get those straight. Case management, they are also registered nurses, and they're really good at coordinating services if you have a complicated diagnosis or need a lot of like home health, help in your home, that type of thing. That's what they're good for. We have maternity nurses as well, and they're there to speak with you throughout pregnancy, help answer any questions that you might have. It's important to maintain good heart health during pregnancy too. So, and also active lifestyle coaching, they are there to help with healthy eating, exercise, stress management, weight loss, just overall wellness in general. And everything is by telephone. You can see we have a website that you can visit. That's the State Health Plan's website, the shpnc.org. If you click on NC Health Smart, that will give you more information about us. Or you can give us a call at 1-800-817-7044. We're open Monday through Fridays between 8:30 a.m. till 11 p.m. at night, as well as on Saturdays between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And we actually have some sign-up sheets if anybody is interested in working with one of our coaches and want to receive a phone call from us. We have things that you can fill out, and we'll be glad to give you a call. Okay. And this is actually something for working with lifestyle coaches. After so many phone calls, you actually get a box with things that can help you improve your health. There's a pedometer, exercise bands, as well as a cookbook in there as well. Any questions for me? All right, well, I appreciate everybody coming today. I've enjoyed talking with you guys, and if you want to speak to me afterwards for questions, certainly feel free to, okay? Thank you for your time.